Side might have kept us out or away from Apogee, but it won't stop the action today at 1 o'clock as North Texas hosts Southern Miss, trying to go 2-1 in conference play and get back in the win column at home. Welcome into Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Nick Laupius, joined at the desk by Ashley Pickle, Jack Buckmeyer, and Shahji Adam. And guys, last time that we were on, it was the loss against La Tech, and then last week, a very slow start for North Texas, escaping El Paso with the 27-24 win. What did you all see last week from that Mean Green team in El Paso?
Should not have been that close. Absolutely should not have been that close. Historically, North Texas is not very good at El Paso. It's kind of like a Texas K-State type of thing where when they go and play in the Sun Bowl, you never know exactly what's going to happen, regardless of UTEP being the absolute worst team in the state of Texas. But hey, a win is a win. Coach Luttrell said that was the quietest plane ride he had ever been on after a victory. So.
No, exactly what you were saying. It's when coming off a loss, you always want to go into, especially UTEP, where they're not doing too hot these past couple of years. You really wanted to go in. You wanted to get your offense rolling. You wanted to get your defense back on track. But we went in there. We kind of didn't do what we really should have done. We managed to pull out 27-24. But Seth Luttrell was ripping up his team at halftime, as you said. It was quite his plane ride on the way back. But if we don't want the team to get complacent, which might be what's going on right now. So we really need. That was maybe a wake-up call. Hopefully it was, but hopefully it was.
I'm gonna try and look at the positives of that. It's our first win in El Paso since I believe the 80s. That is just unbelievable. You got to take that into positivity. Yeah, I know you wanted to destroy this team. You felt that this team really should have been blown out of the water, but you got to look at the positives. Mason Fine, he looked normal. He's not really limping anymore. You look at that game at La Tech. He looks okay. He looks okay.
True.
And he wasn't sacked once. Yes, he was pressured, but he didn't get sacked once. So that's good. The O-line kind of did their job. Third down conversions, they were a little under 50%, so that wasn't good. But how about this? Rico Bussey Jr. hit 8 catches for 117 yards. He did really good. Jalen Darn had 5 catches for 91 yards. He had this great tiptoe touchdown. He was running, and he actually did a spin move, and he just stayed in bounds for a great touchdown. That was a great play. I think they should just take this game. You just take the win as a win and try and win here at home.
Now, it was a slow start, and we saw kind of in the press conference this week, Luttrell saying it was just a lack of focus in that first half. Do you think it was still maybe a hangover from that very close loss against La Tech, and maybe they just weren't in the right mindset in that first half, and then finally able to get it going in the second half? Or what do you think was the reason for that slow start?
I don't think you ever have an excuse to have a slow start. You need to come out of the gates ready to play, regardless if a team is 0-6 at the time. You have to be ready to play, and that's something that they definitely didn't do. You look at it, they were 4-0 going into the first conference game against La Tech. They suffered a loss, a very close loss that was absolutely heartbreaking. That just stunk, and then you go in thinking, okay, we're going to completely bounce back against UTEP, and then UTEP's coming in thinking, historically, they're not good here, so we have a chance to get probably their only win of the season, but, they come in thinking about that, and then when you come out to a slow start, it's unacceptable. You can't do that against a team, especially against a team. If it would have been any other team in Conference USA, they might have gotten down in a hole that they wouldn't have been able to dig themselves out of.
Exactly. Like with the La Tech game, it was heartbreaking. It was Mean Joe Green weekend. You go in, you bust out the commercial, you're wearing the 75, the retirement and everything's all there, and then you go out and you lose. But not only did they lose their running back that has been great for them this whole year, Lauren Easley. So, going into this next game, they're still trying to bounce back from that loss, but, they're kind of having some growing pains with the offense, They're having to throw in a JUCO transfer DeAndre Torrey in there. They're trying to throw in Nick Smith, who's more of a passing running back. So, trying to replace someone like Lauren Easley that gets, 100 yards a game, that's really difficult. So that first half was more of, a growing pains kind of first half.
I actually feel this is the perfect game to do because after you suffered that huge loss against La Tech, you lost Lauren Easley. So they're trying different things with running backs. They're doing that 1-2 punch of DeAndre Torrey and Nick Smith. Torrey had 19 carries, Nick Smith had 13 carries. But you can't really see which one is the better running back because both are really struggling. You look at even defensively, it seems the secondary is going back to how they were last year. They gave up over 300 yards passing. Look at this. Warren Reddix had 7 catches for 131 yards. That is just, he tore apart this secondary. So I guess this game was the best thing possible to try and just do adjustments to see what you got, and then maybe we'll see what Seth Luttrell's going to do in this game.
And they better have the running back situation figured out today with this weather
Yes.
we're having, because
exactly.
an air raid offense in a giant thunderstorm,
it's not
going to happen.
Definitely.
Well, going back to that defense, they did force 2 more turnovers last week, but like you said, kind of struggling, but with the 2 turnovers, hopefully they keep that going. I believe they're #1 in Conference USA, or definitely in the top 3 when it comes to takeaways. takeaways. So it's been a fantastic season so far for the defense. Coming up after the break, we had some big news after that La Tech loss about the athletic department. We'll take a closer look at a 20-year roadmap coming up for the athletic department, so stay with us on Mean Green Game Day.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Yes. Well, a couple weeks ago after the La Tech loss, that following Monday, the athletic department released a new video that showed a 20-year roadmap. We sat down with COO of the athletic department, Jared Mosley, to take a closer look at this development.
That we're looking forward to. I think what we're most excited about is just the continued progress we make each and every day.
After breaking ground on a new indoor practice facility earlier this week, the North Texas Athletic Department unveiled their roadmap for the next 20 years of the program.
We wanted to include all potential facilities that we might consider as we look to build our programs here. And so basketball is one of those that down the road is a possibility.
Chief Operating Officer Jared Mosley acknowledges just how big of an impact the recent success of Mean Green Athletics has had on the fan base.
You know, so obviously success brings a lot of interest in people wanting to be engaged and involved in your programs, and we've noticed that with our crowd sizes and being able to capitalize on 2 record crowds in football. You know, donor interest has increased significantly.
And while there is much excitement about all the future projects in the athletic department, Mosley knows that it's just a one-step-at-a-time process.
You know, understanding this isn't a sprint and it's not something that can be created overnight, but really every day, what can we do to better meet the needs of our student athletes? What can we do to provide the resources our coaches need to do their jobs well? And so we really feel like these initial facilities that we have, track and field soccer, you know, we're going to touch, you know, over 1/3 of our student athletes with that facility. And so being able to provide a track program and soccer program with the very best.
So a very cool development that we got to see, and again, it's a 20-year roadmap. There's a couple of short-term projects that are already underway. We did see the indoor practice facility, started breaking ground on that. How cool is it to see just how far this athletic department has come really just within the past couple of years?
From a person who's worked at the athletic department since Rick Villarreal was here, and then now since Ren Baker his entirety, to see this athletic department grow the way that it's going to, improve the way that it's going, they want to make it into a Power 5 conference one day. And the biggest part of that is getting those facilities so you can get the bigger recruits and then continue to win. And we're doing all of that, so it might not be very long.
Yeah, exactly. When students come here, they're not thinking athletics. You're like, oh, I'm never going to go to a football game. I'm coming here for the music. But now it's kind of like
Green
this.
Brigade.
Yes, exactly. But coming in this year, you're starting to see more people. You're starting, especially at Apogee, you can see we're breaking records for most attendance, and we were only a couple hundred away from
the
a
student
sellout.
section against La Tech was completely
amazing.
full.
It was crazy. Yes. So if you continue to grow and get more people involved, I mean, the sky's the limit for the program.
Ma'am, my sister went to UNT, and she always told me how the sports program was atrocious. I mean, nobody would go. She was only there to become a teacher, and it was mainly a band school. So when I came, I was really surprised how much they improved, especially with Seth Luttrell. That's just amazing to see. I mean, just hearing that chant at football games like the North and the other side that says Texas, it's just so surreal. It's just a whole other experience seeing it live. I really love how far this program is going. I can't wait to see how much it's going to grow until then.
All you juniors weren't there for the 11-1 season.
Sophomore.
Let me tell you about it.
Let
me tell you about it.
I did go to that one win that season because it was the UNT
UTSA
preview
game.
Anyway, you talked about wanting to make it into a Power 5 eventually down the road. They're in Conference USA. A couple of surprising games last week. Is it just because that's how competitive this conference has gotten? We saw La Tech, who after that win against North Texas, we didn't think they would lose a game, then they lose to UAB. Is that just showing how tight this conference is and how really the competitiveness of the conference?
Exactly. No, absolutely. I mean, when you're looking at Conference USA wants to make this a conference that people are going to look at and think they are competitive. We want a UCF to kind of come out of Conference USA to really just not improve each of the schools, but to improve the entire conference in its entirety. But we went into it thinking, okay, it's going to be UNT and FAU again. It might not be that. I mean, this conference has gone back and forth. Like you said, La Tech came in and beat us. Then they went and lost to UAB.
By 21.
By 21, yes, who is a phenomenal school. If you look at the Group of 5 rankings that we've had against the Power 5 schools that we've played, it's been pretty spectacular so far. Conference USA is on the up and up.
Exactly. Like you look at the conference and it's wide open. UAB wasn't even a school. Wasn't even a football program a few years ago.
It wasn't even a school.
My bad. It wasn't even a football program a few years ago, and now they're beating teams by 21, one of the best schools in our conference, and then you look at our conference. You look at North Texas. We're beating SEC teams. It's not we're one of those teams where you walk in, you're like, oh, this is going to be an easy win now. We went 1-11 a few years ago. We got blown out 66-7 at our homecoming a few years ago. Now we're beating Arkansas. So now the conference, we're getting more respect, and it's a definitely more competitive conference than people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the western side where we are, UAB's, they are in the front. They are 2-0 in conference. UTSA's 2-0. Southern Miss is 1-0. We're 1-0, and it's just so close. On the eastern side, it's even closer. They have almost 4 teams that are 3-2 overall that are 2-0, 1-0 in conference. So it's just so close. This is closer than it was last year, and we thought it went right down to the wire to the very last game. So it looks like that the winner of this division on both sides, it's going to come to the last game.
And it's going to be a very pivotal matchup today at Apogee. We'll take a closer look coming up on the other side of the break. We'll preview the Southern Miss Golden Eagles and the North Texas Mean Green. So stay with us here on North Texas Television.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Let's do those pearly whites, man. Ooh, cute.
Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
Hey girl, what's up? What's the name? What's good? What's up? How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
All right, another very pivotal matchup at Apogee Stadium today. Southern Miss coming in 1-0 in Conference USA, defeated Rice earlier this season. Had a bye week last week. Their last game, they lost 24-13 against Auburn, so it's a very good Southern Miss team. Shahji, I want to start with you. What have you seen from the Golden Eagles so far this season that could give North Texas some problems?
Well, in my opinion, I feel this is the most evenly matched team. I mean, you're looking at it, North Texas, they're #1 in scoring offense, while Southern Miss is #2 in scoring defense. So that's going to be a huge battle, especially with this weather. Then you look at Southern Miss, they're #5 in scoring offense, while North Texas is #3 in scoring defense. So it seems like it could really go either way for both these teams. Both these teams are in the top 5 for rush defense, so I don't think the run game is going to get going in any way. North Texas is #1 in passing in Conference USA, but right behind them at #2, guess what? It's Southern Miss. So like I said, it looks like it's going to go either way. And in fact, that this weather is here, it looks like both quarterbacks are really going to struggle. I expect Mason Fine to still have a good game. I mean, it just seems that he's really been carrying this North Texas team, so he really needs to play as well as possible. But it could really go either way.
Yeah, the Southern Miss is coming off. They're coming off a bye week, so maybe they might have some. They might not be. They might be fresh. They might not. They might be a little. They might be a little.
Sluggish.
Sluggish. Not all there. They're coming off a loss to Auburn, but they were the 10th ranked team in the country, and they still only held them to 24 points. They held Auburn to their lowest yards for rushing per average with 2.7. So that's a big accomplishment, and for North Texas, they really don't have they don't have the strongest of run games. And, especially as you said, it was raining outside, so, the passing game might not all be there. So they might need to rely heavily on that run game. And so, you need to rely heavily on a run game and a defense that can really stop the run. It's going to be a weird mashup today.
Yeah, I said coming into the season that I thought Southern Miss was going to be the game at home in particular that might cause a little bit of an issue for us just because, like you said, unbelievably even matchup when it comes to all sorts of stats, just the style that they play. But honestly, today, with the way the weather is outside, this game is going to come down to who cannot turn over the ball. Yeah, exactly. That's all it's going to take. You're going to have that run game going regardless of how good the run defense is or the rush defense or anything like that. As long as you don't turn over the ball, you have the higher percentage chance of winning. And just taking it slow, making sure you get it down, and then hopefully getting it down to that end zone.
Well, if that ends up being the case, do you think North Texas has the advantage? Because that defense has been stifling for opponents. Like I said, toward the top in the nation in takeaways. I believe 16 takeaways right now through the first 6 weeks of the season. I think they only had maybe 18 total last season, so they're already on pace to break that. What are the keys to the game for North Texas? I know we already touched who gets more turnovers. What else needs to happen for the Mean Green today to secure that win?
Well, looking at it, I honestly feel that the wide receivers are the key. I know that it's raining and the ball is a little more slippery. It's getting harder to see with all the rain in your face. It's getting harder to maybe place your footing. But I feel that you shouldn't give up on the passing attack. I feel like if you can complete those passing attacks, it's going to be a good game for North Texas because they have such a great wide receiver core. It just seems that all of them can know how to make plays. Mason Fine, if he does have time in the pocket, if he has the ability to throw, and I feel the wide receiver core is probably the biggest key, and also, like you said, turnovers.
Yeah, they gotta come into this game like they came into the Arkansas game. They have to come in with a really strict mindset where they have to force as many turnovers as they can. They have to have the best defense they possibly have. They got to avoid the complacency they had when they played UTEP this past week. Because, Southern Miss isn't the biggest name in the conference, but, they played Florida State in a bowl game last year. So, obviously, they're a pretty good team. So, you really have to go into this with the mindset that, they're going to be a good team, but you really have to have no mistakes to win this game.
And then I think the corners are going to be, the biggest load of pressure on them this game because you think about it, obviously, the defensive line is going to be ready. They're expecting that run game. They know they're going to have to go out there and hit someone. Safeties has done an unbelievable job, what you said, that turnover margin and everything like that. But the corners, if there are passes thrown, most likely going to be a little screen pass out. they need to be able to get ready to pick those off. They also have to be ready to tackle on any break in the run game on that. So the corners are going to have to make sure that they're awake today.
I know one thing that's been a little bit troubling to see these past couple of games, the offensive line seems to have kind of slowed down a little bit, not giving Mason Fine a whole lot of time. That could be big tonight as well, or this afternoon rather, with the rain, maybe trying to get the run game going for North Texas, but the offensive line has really been struggling. Have you seen anything sort of different with them, or has it just kind of been maybe fatigue halfway through the season?
I think you're looking at fatigue there. We haven't had a bye week yet. Those guys are big. They're out there grinding every time. You've got a little bit of an undersized quarterback. You were having to work every single play to make sure that he does not get hurt. They're going to have to be ready to go today just as much as they are, especially with the run game. They are going to have to force those holes up at the line to be able to get our running backs to get going there.
Yeah, not being able to have a bye week for an offensive lineman, that just continually having to put as much pressure on someone, just blocking for like 10 seconds, but for 50 plays a game, that really takes a toll on you. And not being able to stop or have a break over a week, it's really hard. So yeah, I just think it's more fatigue than anything.
To me, it's not fatigue. I think it's more confidence. I mean, they were actually looking really good when Lauren Easley was in the backfield, but now that he's gone, you saw that the offensive line took a real dip. I mean, you saw that Mason Fine got hurt. They didn't give him as much protection as he needed. You look at this game, that 1-2 punch of Nick Smith and Torrey is really not working. So I just don't think it's fatigue. They're a really physical offensive line. They always look confident. It's just that they're just missing that extra help that they need.
All right, and we're getting closer and closer to kickoff at Apogee Stadium. Coming up next, we'll preview and predict some of the biggest games, and of course the North Texas Southern Miss game. One game we're not predicting, Notre Dame versus Pitt.
Oh,
anyway, I'll bring that up
Notre Dame.
anyway, so stay with us on Mean Green Game Day.
Is it pretty?
Daddy.
It's pretty.
Maybe I'll
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. And I appreciated it very much, the attention that was given to it. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
We're getting closer and closer to kickoff from Southern Miss and North Texas out at Apogee Stadium. We'll predict that just in a few minutes, but first, some of the big games going on this weekend. But real quick, I know you're not a big fan, but Notre Dame versus
not
Pitt.
On the rundown. We're
Notre
not
Dame,
talking
you're
about
gonna win.
it.
They continue their undefeated. They're going to continue their
out.
undefeated season with a big win against Pitt. So now let's go into the games that are on the rundown. Georgia at LSU. At Death Valley, I've got LSU and Coach O with the win.
All right, so we'll go second disagreement after that Notre Dame comment. I'm going to go Georgia. I think that all around they're the better team. Their quarterback, Jake Fromm, is just, he's unbelievable. 1,200 yards on this season, 12 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. So I don't think that LSU has the defensive backs to be able to force those interceptions.
Yeah, I'm going with Georgia against LSU. You know, La Tech went into Death Valley and they dropped 23 on LSU. LSU hasn't been relevant since Les Miles, so I'm saying sorry. Orgeron. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's not right there. Fromm is great. He's led Georgia these past 2 years. I'm going Georgia.
Sorry, Nick, you're on your own. I'm also going with Georgia. Georgia's offensive line is big and physical, and this is going to be a game in the trenches, and I think Georgia's going to take the win.
I just like LSU because it's at Death Valley. You know, it's hard to go in.
It's
a good name. It's a good name. I know you want to stand out.
You know,
it's okay to join the bandwagon.
No. All right. Anyway, we'll go on to the next one. Washington at Oregon. It's going to be a tough game for Washington on the road, but I still think they just have a little more talent. I think they win on the road.
Did we just agree on a pick? Mark it down, Mean Green Game Day fans. We're agreeing on this one. I'm going Washington. I still think that their junior wide receiver, Aaron Fuller, is one of the best wide receivers in the nation. Expect him to have a very big night tonight.
Yep, I'm going Washington against Oregon. You know, Browning has been, one of the top quarterbacks in the nation the past couple of years. You know, he's been great. He's struggled the past couple of weeks, but I think he's going to shake it off. Oregon hasn't been Oregon since Mariota and Chip Kelly left. They hired Willie Taggart last year, but guess what? He left and went to Florida State. It's a mess up there in Oregon, so I'm going Washington.
All right.
This game could go either way, but I'm going to pull a Nick. I'm going to be different. I'm going with Oregon.
There we go.
I think that they're going to have really big plays, and I don't think that Washington will be able to counteract all those chunk plays that they have, so I'm taking Oregon.
All right, and then we have Wisconsin at Michigan. It's at the Big House. It's hard to go against Jim Harbaugh, hard to go against Michigan at home. I have Michigan with the win.
Second time in a row. What is going on? No wonder it's raining outside. I'm going Michigan as well. They have a good quarterback, but their running back, Karin Hidgen, he is the real threat on that offense, and I don't feel like Wisconsin has the defensive line to stop him, and it's at home for Michigan. It's hard to beat Harbaugh and them at Michigan.
Yep, I'm going with Michigan. I don't even remember when Wisconsin last beat them at Michigan. I'm with Harbaugh. I've been a fan of Harbaugh since he was with the 49ers. He's been there. Harbaugh's always seemed to let me down one time a year, but he's not going to let me down today. I'm going with Michigan.
All right.
I feel like I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to go with Michigan. Bring in the khaki pants. I'm going with Harbaugh as well.
All right.
I'm going with Harbaugh.
The clean sweep.
That's usually not a good sign, though, when it's a clean
the
sweep.
Badgers are coming in to ruin it.
I'm sorry, Harbaugh.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It usually doesn't work, but now we'll get into the game, obviously, that we're waiting for. Southern Miss, North Texas, Apogee Stadium. We already know it's going to be sloppy conditions out there at Apogee Stadium, but I think North Texas pulls away. I don't think they're going to have another slow start like they did last week. I think the coaching staff has done a phenomenal job, and you look at them and listen to what they said on Tuesday at the press conference. They were very upset with how they prepared their team for last week, and I think they're really going to turn that around. They start on time, and they get the win, and they get back in the win column at home.
Three of them in agreement. This is not. I'm telling you, the storm.
What's going on?
Storm.
It's the rain.
I'm going North Texas as well. I love my Mean Green. I really think that they're going to come out today, and it'll be a close game. It's going to be a hard-fought battle down in the trenches, so don't put it in an easy win column. But they need this win. They know that, and so got to go Mean Green on that one.
All right, definitely for this game, I've had to bust out the hat. I'm going with North Texas.
North Texas State.
North Texas State. This hat's older than me, and man, it was from my dad when he went here in '86. But I'm totally on the movement. In fine, we trust. I'm going with North Texas. We're going to be back in the win column, and I think we're going to beat Southern Miss.
I love the hat.
This is usually where I take out Scarpy's head and I put it on, but I don't have it today, but my pick is still the same. I'm going with the Mean Green. Hopefully they can get past this weather. It's going to be a tough first half. They'll make the second half adjustments. They'll be a better team in the second half. I'm taking North Texas.
All right, so hopefully we're all correct on that one. If you can't make it out to Apogee Stadium, of course, with the conditions, kickoff is at 1 o'clock. You can watch it on ESPN3, but go ahead and try and make it on out to Apogee Stadium. It's going to be another great game. Thank you for tuning in to Mean Green Game Day today. For Shahji, Adam, Jack Buckmeyer, and Ashley Pickle, I'm Nick Laupia saying so long from the University of North Texas.